Hi, everyone. I am Lori MacVittie. I am Distinguished Engineer and Chief Evangelist at F5. And we are here today to talk some more about the Application Delivery Top 10, which is a list of 10 challenges that we have compiled after 25 and more years of experience
Ooh,
delivering applications across every environment imaginable. I think we actually did some acceleration to like the space station once. It was an amazing thing. So I wanted to talk about DNS practices
oh
today.
yeah,
So I grabbed Joel Moses, who has a plethora of titles, and he will choose one or more today as he
sure.
introduces himself.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. So Joel Moses, distinguished engineer here at F5, and today the topic is DNS, and it's one of my favorite topics. I think it's number one on our list with a bullet,
Yes.
and it's because DNS is that forgotten thing. It's forgotten by everybody except for the authors of XKCD and all the SREs that post about it on LinkedIn, because it's honestly, Lori, it's always DNS. Always. Whenever there are problems, DNS is usually at the core of it.
Yeah, I have a stat here that in 2023 at least, network slowdowns related to DNS issues accounted for 27% of user complaints about poor performance. That's a
Absolutely
pretty
correct.
significant number for something that is right so standard and forgotten and overlooked and sad in the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. DNS is kind of an interesting thing because a lot of customers offload or push their DNS burden out to other providers, and then they focus a lot on the performance aspects of things that run inside of their cloud environments and data centers, and they forget that there's this inextricable interconnection between the names that are looked up and the IP addresses behind which all of those services actually operate. And so if you have a problem looking the name up, or if there's a configuration problem with DNS, like the absence of the proper time to live, or if the DNSSEC is set up improperly, it can lead to massive performance problems for the application. Because remember, the user is looking the name up at this other external party in a lot of cases, and you may not have a full insight into exactly what's going on over there.
That's true, and right, we're not saying don't push at least one of your DNS right off prem because right you don't want your primary and your secondary on the same place because
That's
if
correct.
yeah, right, that's just bad practices too, right? It's like the
Absolutely.
first thing you learn, but right, that time to live is really important because if it's too short, you're churning all the time and there's a
So
lot of extra, right, connections and requests going on. But if it's too long, if you have to fail over or you need something just came online or you're, dynamically scaling
mhm.
now, you got to wait.
Absolutely. And so improper TTL settings, definitely a problem, especially as it relates to the fault tolerance of an application. Others that I've seen are improperly set DNSSEC, sometimes causing things to not query properly. Increasingly, you also see things where attackers are targeting DNS records specifically to try to cache poison. You can build an entire rich stack of security services in your data center or your cloud environment, and that can be subverted by a DNS cache that's poisoned far afield from where you put your security inspections. Some of the things that people can do, I often find that 9 times out of 10, I step into a customer environment and they've offloaded, or they allow their ISP or their provider to carry their DNS, but they're not doing anything with the query logs from the provider, even though the provider may offer them the query logs. Collecting that information can often point towards potential attempts to compromise your DNS. But if you're not collecting that information, you don't know about it. And that's why everybody always says it's always DNS at the root of a lot of these issues with application performance, with application availability, with attack surfaces that are outside of your existing inspection chain. DNS is really at the heart of things. It is the gateway between the user finding your application and connecting to your application. And it's amazing to me how many people don't even pay attention to that.
Well, to be fair, it is right under the covers. Most users have no idea what happens when they type something in a browser bar and magic happens, right? That's all they know. But you're right. I mean, DNS is your first impression, right? When I say first impressions, right? Those are important. And DNS is technically your first impression. So it should be fast, it should be secure, it should be correct. Uh,
Absolutely.
According to
Yeah.
your cache poisoning. So, all right, well, we are out of time because these are supposed to be short and to the point, but I'm going to bring you back. We'll talk about some other items on this list, but thanks for, cheering on DNS and pointing out how important it is.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lori.